Hi everyone, it's Felicity. I'm using today's lunch break to bring you a bit of a video about the coronavirus change curve and the importance of acknowledging our emotions within that. I'm also keeping it real in no makeup, so no makeup video, and wearing my favourite comfy hoodie because that's the reality. We're all just working from home, aren't we? No slickness here, as you'll see in this video. So, thinking about understanding our emotions, first of all. One thing that I've learned in challenging situations is the importance of really acknowledging what we're feeling and not trying to deny it. Now that sounds pretty straightforward, but actually if that's something you're not used to, it does take practice and it is something that you learn to do. It's very easy to just keep going, to mask the sadness that you know you're feeling deep down with happiness. I know the worst I've ever felt was after I had been denying a feeling that I had. I felt that it was wrong and I pushed it away whenever it came to the surface of my consciousness. That in the end led to an explosion of emotion and a crashing low, which it took me some time to recover from. Now I try and acknowledge every feeling that I have, even if it's a bad one, even if it's something I think I shouldn't feel, because only by acknowledging it can you start to understand it and process it. So keep that in mind with what we're talking about today, the importance of acknowledging your emotions. And how many emotions have you felt since the shit got real with everything coronavirus? Here in the UK, that's about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks since that happened. So it was 2 weeks yesterday that I was sent home from my workplace. I've felt all sorts of things. So I felt excitement. First, it was a bit of a novelty, wasn't it? Getting our new workspace set up, WhatsApping, co-workers, pictures of our new and unlikely desk spaces. So excitement was the first one. I felt happy almost. We Brits revel in sadness, not in sadness, sorry, in being a bit grumpy about things, and it gave something to grumble about. We like trying to triumph in adversity, so there was almost a bit of happiness there as well. There was sadness. That first weekend I'd been going to visit my parents because it was my mum's birthday as well as Mother's Day. And when I realised that wouldn't happen, I just cried. I was just really sad. I just felt like a little girl again. I felt bored. And what a strange modern emotion boredom is, to be bored when I have the internet and therefore access to the sum total of human knowledge. But because I can't do what I want to do, I've still felt bored. I felt gratitude for the friendships that I have and for our ingenuity at staying in touch across the world in many cases. I felt fear. What if someone I care about gets ill? I know I won't be able to see them. And at the moment, it doesn't matter if they're 2 miles, 200 or 2,000 miles away. We know we wouldn't be able to see them. And grief. We're going through collective grief for the life that we've lost. And we don't know if we'll ever have back again. We don't know what normal will look like after this. That's sudden and that's shocking and that's grief. So yeah, a whole load of emotions, and we can plot these on something called the change curve. This is something that was put together by Elizabeth Kübler-Ross back in 1969 actually, and it was initially mapped as the grief curve, but you can use it to map your progress through grief or any kind of change. I was first introduced to it during a training session that took place on the day of the EU referendum, which heralded a huge amount of change, and I remember us talking about it during the day, not that we knew what the outcome of that vote would be. But ever since then, I've had a little copy pinned up by my desk at work, And I often refer to it thinking about how I'm feeling with regard to a project that I'm working on, or something in my personal life, or just any process. And it helps me to make sense of it if I can acknowledge and plot my emotions on that map, on that framework. So no bells and whistles here. I've drawn a change curve for you. So it goes like this: denial, anger, bargaining, sadness, and acceptance, with the bargaining to sadness really being the lowest point here. So after this, if you Google change curve, you'll be able to see some examples of it. There's some special coronavirus ones that people have already put together as well. So, the 5 stages. Denial. Probably how we felt in the UK about a month ago. It won't happen here. And even if it does, it won't affect me or anyone I know. It'll just be on the news, on the telly, but it won't really happen. And then when we realised what was happening, there's a lot of anger. All these restrictions are far too draconian. I can't keep my kids at home and work. How can anyone expect that? That's just unreasonable. And how long will this go on for? I can't stay in the house for months. Anger is something that a lot of us have felt. Then you get to the bargaining stage. So, okay, I get it. At least I can still go for a walk with someone from my household. But if I met my friend, would that be okay? Is that a public gathering of 2? Can we do that? And this is probably the worst stage, as you're being thwarted. So you want to do this. What you can do is that. And bam, they're crashing up against each other all the time. And that leads to the next stage, which is sadness. So you acknowledge your fate. This sucks. I feel really sad. I'm really tired. I just can't do what I want to do. This is just awful. And then you'll often feel depressed, fatigued, low energy, low mood. I've definitely felt that this week. So I must be at the sadness stage of the grief curve. And acceptance. That's the good news. Once you've reached sadness, that acceptance is the next one. So, well, there we are then. This is absolutely pants, but it is what it is. I've got enough toilet paper for this week. Maybe I'll just nip over to the old lady that I see across the road, and that family with kids as well. I'll just put a note through the letterbox, let them know that I can get anything if they need. So then that can lead to a period of creativity where we know what we're working within and accept it. The current situation, it is overwhelming, just to wrap up now. It's overwhelming. There are lots of emotions between the 5 stages that I've described, and it's not linear. It does track something like what I've said there. So through to bargaining and sadness being the lowest point. But you'll probably find yourself cycling back between them, which is exhausting. And remember, everyone else is also somewhere along the curve and will also be cycling back. So everyone we interact with is experiencing different combinations of the same things, but at different times. So be kind to yourself. Acknowledge what you're feeling. Know that it's normal. Know that it will pass and you'll keep going forwards. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others as well. Thanks for watching.